Fashion, turn to the left. Fashion, turn to the right. Ooh, fashion, Graham. Oh, no, don't look like that. I have to do the cheesy opening. Right. Okay, fashion. We're actually going to talk about trends today. What's going on in the world of buying and online sales and stuff. And I know you've just done a conference, a big conference online, haven't you, Graham, for, was it the APMP?
Well remembered. Yeah, the APMP. Yeah, I was delighted to have the opportunity to present at the conference last week, which was really good fun. Really good fun.
Never use acronyms, APMP?
No, because people, that's one of the main things. One of the top tips, don't use acronyms. But if you were to say the Association of Proposal Management Professionals every time, we'd be here for.
Now listen, I've had the privilege of seeing your session already, but the one thing that really struck me was some of the stats about how people are thinking at the moment, and indeed how people are thinking that might change or indeed not as we head back into a post-COVID world. So do you want to tell a bit about those?
Yeah, I'd love to. I have to thank McKinsey for doing a lot of the research on it. So there's some fantastic stuff that they've been posting on this. But I looked, but there's a lot of it, right? So I waded through it, looking for what was going on in the buying world, for buyers, for sellers as well, to compare the two. And also looked at marketing, because I thought that's also an interesting aspect to look at. Kind of what really is going on at the moment, and some quite interesting stuff. If you think about from a buyer's perspective, and everybody keeps talking about going back to going back to normal, right? Get this: 80% of buyers that were surveyed said they don't want to go back to in one-to-one meetings, face-to-face meetings.
That's
80%. So
this is here to stay. This down the line stuff is, for at least 80% of the time, is here to stay.
Yeah. They prefer it. They said they prefer it. We prefer having interactions that are remote, and basically, I never want to see your face in my office again.
But I mean, if people want to go back to your website and or go back through LinkedIn and see some of the things that we've done in the previous episodes of Connect and Win, obviously the things we've been talking about are going to be incredibly important in that case, in terms of how people do connect, how they show up, how they get their information across, indeed how they get the information out of people. But was there anything particularly that struck you about what is going to be necessary, what might be changing in that way, what people are going to have to step up with?
When I looked at the marketing, some of the trends that were coming out of marketing, from all of this, you had the natural kind of people thinking about, do we really need to spend money on marketing at the moment, and if so, how, and how are we going to do that, and a real sense that there's an increasing demand to focus on two particular areas when it comes to marketing. So if you're going to market yourselves, what are you going to spend the money on? One thing would be improving your data. And the second thing is analyzing that data and understanding the data. And the other thing is to improve how you're presenting yourselves digitally. Stuff. I know we're talking about online pitches and presentations, but I think marketing things online will become more and more of a trend. Just think about LinkedIn's gone from words and pictures to now video.
Yeah.
And that's just one example of where things are becoming just a little bit more sophisticated, and people are telling their stories and getting their message across in different ways. So
and big bold images that grab the attention, that people's minds are so full of things at the moment that how do you actually just get them to stop in their tracks and think, okay, that's interesting, that's something I probably need to be thinking about here.
And then in the context of a kind of broader sales campaign, then doing that in a subtle way, but actually in a way where you're trying to influence potential decision makers within a particular customer. So what are the ways in which you're going to influence them? And this digital kind of marketing, targeted digital marketing route, I think, is going to become the way in which people can try and do that influencing. When you can't necessarily bump into somebody at a conference, at some sort of event, you're going to have to try and digitally bump into them by trying to get them to engage with you somehow through maybe some powerful, impactful, attention-grabbing thing that you push out there.
Absolutely. Actually, that's something else as well, Graham, that I was thinking about is that in terms of building the relationship, there's a triangle from a guy called John Timperley, who used to be at marketing at PwC many years ago. And he has the relationship triangle, which starts with acknowledgement and ends right at the top with bond. And that's what everyone wants to go for, but it's very rare that you're in a bond situation with a client and they won't move without picking up the phone. But it's the second level of relationship, which is understanding. How much does the client feel that you have understood them, have taken the time to understand them? And how much time are you taking for them to truly understand you, not only intellectually, but emotionally? And I think that that's probably going to become very important as well, how we do that down the line to each other.
It's got to be about not trying to dive in with the answer, isn't it? Oh. As you were saying that, my brain starts to think about, I'm sort of agreeing with you and I'm thinking about the next step, which is maybe how somebody might do that. But actually what I should be doing is asking you, why do you think that's important to build that understanding, David? And then you go, well, and then, I ask you a few questions and go a bit deeper.
Actually, Graham, the other thing that I really liked from your video was the thing that you were saying about how there is a question mark around loyalty at the moment from clients. I mean, they're actually more likely to shift. And tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, there was some evidence to show that people are maybe more likely to split suppliers at the moment. Maybe loyalty is a bit less, and who knows why? Maybe people are shopping around a bit more than normal. But there were two kind of tactics that people are adopting to kind of overcome that. And the two good examples are Starbucks, who are positioning themselves as doing something good during the pandemic to help and probably raise their profile and kind of be seen to be doing the right things. And most people would know this. They're giving free hot drinks to people who are healthcare workers. I mean, you might hate Starbucks, you might love Starbucks, but that just feels like that's kind of a really nice thing to do. That might protect some of their loyalty. And then Bank of America was the other one. And they made a commitment to not lay off any staff because of COVID. So they're just making that commitment. We're not going to use COVID as an excuse to get rid of people. We're going to keep people and retain people throughout this.
There's a fine line, isn't there, between virtue signaling and actually sort of doing and actually using it for the good as well. I mean, my own personal example is that I love what Brewdog, the brewery, has done in terms of changing their operations to creating hand sanitizers and using their delivery to deliver to hospitals, beer, but equipment. And I believe me, I am very loyal to the Brewdog brand. We got something else up our sleeve as well. We're going to do in a couple of weeks' time, in the next few weeks anyway, which is a reaction video to a very senior person in the city, and just looking about what they do really, really well in terms of connecting down the line as well. And so that'll be something to look forward to. We're looking forward to doing that one. In the meantime, Mr. Graham Ablett, star of APMB Conference.
Thank you. Cheers all. See you, David.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.